Hello, hello, hello. Assalamu alaikum. Ji ayanu. Pakhair agale. Ni hao. Chunashumme. Washmale. Ohio gozaima's. Guten Morgen. Hola. Bonjour. Privyet. Kaifa hal. Haleshuma chatore. Ahlan wasalan. Marhaba. Buna. Mucho. Gracias. Swabi up. And a very amazing good morning to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and are watching World this morning alongside your very own Shazad Khan. Ladies and gentlemen, as we all know, as you all know, that we go out in 40 different countries. So first of all, I would like to start with a prayer today, early in the morning, and that prayer is for everybody out there who's actually fighting against any disease or the pandemic, COVID-19 itself. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope and pray that everybody out there is looking after themselves and are making sure that every other day they are getting better at life. And I think that this is something so important which we need to understand, or we probably miss out in life, that we kind of, get our head around things which are not really directly relevant to us, or probably, we shouldn't even be thinking about them, or we shouldn't be giving a thought about them. But unfortunately, I think that this is how things are these days as well, that no matter what happens, one way or the other, your head just keeps on thinking about things and you just cannot get over it. And there are ways how people have actually coped up with it. There are people who have actually made sure that they are going to be inspiration for so many people out there in the world as well. And there are people who have made sure that nothing can defeat them. So today's episode is actually going to be, or today's live show is actually going to be one of those as well. But very quickly before we get started, or we speak about how we can actually defeat depression, how we can defeat ADHD, how we can actually be a better person, or I think that this is something which I really need to ask the guest herself as well, because this guest whom we have over here in the studios, ladies and gentlemen, was actually suffering from depression. She had ADHD, which led to some other problems as well. And then finally, she's all over the globe. And you really need to believe me when I say this, and it's because of the fact that, that the inner motivation she had was something which nobody could actually defeat. And I think that this is something which is very important. And there are things, ladies and gentlemen, for example, Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah used to say that I take a decision and then make it right. Imagine the kind of dedication the gentleman actually had to himself as well. And I think that these are the messages, these are the lessons which we need to derive from all of these people. We need to think, or probably, see more things from all of those people who are unsung heroes, unfortunately. And when I say this, I say it because of the fact that there are so many people who've done so much wonderful work, which people can actually take aspiration and inspiration from at the same time. But unfortunately, since we're so busy with our social media platforms, so our head is just all around Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or Snapchat. So please make sure that you take out time to learn and then unlearn and then relearn as well, because this is something, in 2020, this is something which I think is very relevant. That for people who cannot unlearn and relearn, I think, are illiterates in 2020, and it's because of the fact that everything is changing so rapidly that we have no idea what is the next thing or what the next generation would actually be up to. So I think it's pretty much very important for all of us to be at that point of our knowledge, where we know that, okay, this will lead to this, or this will lead to this. This is something very important. The second point which I wanted to raise today, ladies and gentlemen, was that I was very confused, as in that the gyms were closed and I couldn't work out, even though that I have a few dumbbells at my place as well, and I do try working out. And workout actually helps me look forward to another day, and it's because of the fact that, okay, today I'm hitting chest, tomorrow I'll be hitting back. And so now, from morning till evening, till the time I'll be working out, I think this is something which I'll be thinking about as well. I'll be getting ready, I'll be preparing my mind, and this is something which is healthier. But there was one more thing which I was lagging behind on, and that was my cardio. So eventually I came up with this idea that, okay, since I have a problem with my leg, I cannot walk, I cannot run, why not bicycle? And then I tried bicycling, but unfortunately I broke the pedal, so I cannot cycle again now, because I do not know where I can get a pedal from, or where can I get it fixed. So hey, I came up with another idea, badminton, why not that? And believe me, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday we played 3 games of badminton. I sweat a lot, and yeah, I feel wonderful as well. So for everybody who's out there, I think that it is our sole responsibility to make ourselves wonderful. It is our responsibility. It is not anybody else's responsibility. Please make sure that you know that for sure. Every now and then in life, we rely on people. Every now and then in life, we actually expect a lot from people as well. People who have no expectations from other people, I think, are the happiest, on this planet we call Earth. So this is something which we really need to dig into as well. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about who do we have in the studio. I think that, ladies and gentlemen, there are no boundaries for people who have a strong mind. And I'm saying it because of the fact that they can actually defy all of those problems, they can defy all of those things, and then come out stronger, even more stronger as well. So this lady, ladies and gentlemen, whom we have over here in the studio, happens to be a travel vlogger, a solo travel vlogger from Kashmir. Not just that, she actually happens to speak 6 languages fluently. She has been all over, she's been living in England, she's been living in France, Kashmir probably as well. You know, these are the questions which we need to ask. But not just that, she had depression, she had ADHD, and then, you know, just because of ADHD and depression, she had, you know, ulcers. And then there were more severe problems that she actually landed into the hospital and being on ventilator as well. Not just that, I think more than 9 or 10 surgeries. And then, you know, the death certificate was even issued, but then, hey, you know what? There are people who actually are very strong from inside, and we cannot actually judge them from the outer core of them. But I think that she is a living example of how motivation needs to be derived from something where you see darkness. I think that this is something which we are talking about today. But we have an introductory video of her. Ladies and gentlemen, please go ahead. And we have had foreign travel vloggers doing her videos as well. They did a complete video on her. So please go ahead, take a look, and when you guys will come back, we will be in conversation with this fabulous lady whom I actually want to call Wonder Woman. Let's take a look.
Manon.
And my coma led me to become a traveler.
She's one of the strongest, most unique women I've ever met, and her story is so deep that it's hard to tell in 3 minutes. Manon was one of the organizers for my Pakistan trip, and she flew all the way from her home in Oman to accompany us around her native country. Manon is an entrepreneur and makes a living from trading goods. She's also the head of partnership of Knowledge NGO, the biggest of its kind in Oman. She speaks 6 languages fluently and has lived in 8 countries.
I was born in Saudi and I've lived in France, Scotland, England, UAE, China, Oman, and USA.
But Manon identifies as French Kashmiri.
It's amazing!
Kashmir is the region that's partly owned by China, partly by India, and partly by Pakistan. Her family is from the Pakistani Azad region, where we are filming this video today.
We are right now on the highest peak of Kashmir, which is Pir Chanasi.
As an active traveler to 28 countries, Manon enjoys sharing her experiences on Instagram and YouTube.
I'm the very first Kashmiri girl to travel the world solo.
So far, judging by what I've told you, it seems like Manon is a wonderfully accomplished girl. And she definitely is, but just wait until you see what she's been through to get here. She grew up with ADHD and severe depression. In 2007, she got a stomach ulcer, which turned for the worst in 2016 when she had to spend 9 months in the same hospital bed. Manon fell into a coma and was on life support for 15 days. She lost 135 pounds in the process, and her stomach shrunk to 1/3 the size of a newborn baby.
My stomach is the size of my pinky finger.
Now she's been out of the hospital for almost 2 years and has recovered remarkably fast. But her entire diet has changed. Everything she eats, she carries around in her purse.
I'm gluten-free, lactose-intolerant, vegetarian, and my stomach can only take 5 tablespoons a day. So this is what I eat for my lunch, so like 4 bites of corn, equivalent to this, and 5-7 fries.
Every night before sleeping, Manon needs to inject sodium or glucose in her leg.
Kind of my weakness.
She does this for 4 hours every night.
Yeah, I can sleep with it. I watch TV with it. Like, I can even drive. I just put it in my car with my stand.
Do you travel with how many bags of those?
It depends. I take 1 bag for 2 days. So if I'm traveling for 10 days, I'll take 5 of them.
After all the hardships she's been through, Manon is one of the happiest souls I've ever met. Her goal of seeing the entire world has only just begun.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we are very lucky that we have actually been joined by the happiest girl on this planet, and she's none other than Miss Manon Raja. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning, how are you?
Walaikum assalam, good morning to you too, and I'm very glad to be here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you, and it's wonderful to have heard your story as well for people who are out there. You know, every now and then, you know, at World This Morning over here, we want to share some amazing stories, some inspiring stories with people as well. So rather than me asking you, why shouldn't you start yourself? ADHD, depression, hospital, then you deciding that, okay, you know, I've been on the hospital bed for 9 months. I think it's about time that I go travel the world. And you've lived in 6, 7 different countries. You speak 6 different languages. How did it all happen?
Well, basically, I was used to traveling since I was little with my parents. And then I never realized that I have to stop working and take time for myself until I was on my hospital bed.
Yeah.
First time I remember when I turned my face, it was after 3 months of my hospitalization. And I was so happy, and I looked at my mom and I was like, Mom, I turned my head because I had drainage pipes all over, pick line over here in my artery, drips here, nasovaginal feed.
Yeah.
So I couldn't talk, I couldn't do anything. I just had my left hand, so I could scroll on my cell phone, but I wasn't talking to anybody because I was not feeling like talking to anyone. I was in a situation that I needed to heal myself, but it wasn't working. All started in December 2019. 2016. And I went to the hospital and doctor said that my gallbladder had stones, so they removed my gallbladder.
Okay.
And after 3 days, they realized that that was not the issue. There was actually a leakage, a perforation in my stomach. So the food that I was eating in those 3 days leaked in my body.
Oh my God.
And it was already too late. And it was 25th of December, which is the Christmas day, and all the doctors were off. So I was transferred to another hospital. Then I was in a coma. A normal coma, not an induced one. So the drainage pipes were installed, the nasovaginal feed. I had a sucking pipe, which actually led to, it shrank my stomach. This is why my stomach is the size of my pinky finger. And that happened in January and February. So in February, doctors decided that they will put a stent in my stomach, which will cover the perforation, the hole, and I'll be able to eat again because I didn't eat and drink for 9 months. So the stent actually did another perforation and migrated near my heart and damaged my body. My left leg was paralyzed. I couldn't move. And then it led to more surgeries, more and more to remove the infections and everything. But when I woke up from my induced coma, when I was on ventilator, my body didn't give up. Doctors were saying to my parents that they had to, turn off the ventilator machine, but my mother didn't give up. And when I opened my eyes, I heard, Mademoiselle Raja, so Miss Raja. And I opened my eyes, and my mom was sitting just next to me in ICU, and she was reading Surah Yasin.
MashaAllah.
And I heard her, and I had my ventilator, and I was panicking that what's happening to me. Like I was just sleeping, and I woke up with a big pipe in my mouth. And she just, caressed me, and she said, "It's your favorite surah. Do you want me to continue?" I said, "Yeah, continue." I just knocked my head, and then I fell back into the coma. Yes.
So you woke up from the coma, and then you were back in the coma again.
Yes, but then it was a natural one, not an induced one to keep me alive. Because I'm an organ donor, so if I die, my organs will go to donation. So doctors were saying that, okay, she's not waking up, let's just
get
that done. So after that, when I woke up, my family didn't tell me what happened. A nurse came and she said, "Oh, Mademoiselle Raja, on Tuesday," I had long black hair, very long black hair. And they used to call me long-haired doll because in France they don't have black hair. So she said, "Oh, I did your braid on Tuesday." I was like, "Which Tuesday? We're Friday. We are on Friday." She said, "No, it's Tuesday, and you were in coma for so many days, and we were giving you your bath here and everything." I said, "Oh, okay." So I called my family and asked them, "Okay, now tell me what happened." So they told me that I have been through the surgery, it went wrong, the stent migrated to my heart, and alhamdulillah, my heart was not touched. But my body didn't give up during the coma. And the nurses and doctors were shocked because they were ready to take my body to the conference of surgery, which happens every year in Paris, annually in Paris, to show that this can happen. So that day, my brother, younger brother, he came and he was sitting next to me. I don't remember that. He told me after.
Yeah.
He said, "You told us that you are going to be okay." I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, you told me that from today I'm going to heal myself."
Yeah.
And then this is when one pipe went away, second, third, the feed, the nasojejunal pipe.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, everything was going, like it took 6 months.
Yeah. Well, eventually it was going away.
It
It was
was
taking its
going
time.
well.
Yeah.
And on my third month, I remember that I was so angry with all the pain. It was intense pain that
Yeah.
I cannot even imagine. Like, you can see that I can do my injections and drips now.
Yeah.
Like anything, my piercings or whatever, I don't feel pain anymore because my nerves are used to it.
Okay.
I used to have surgeries without anesthesia because my blood pressure was so low that if they put me on anesthesia, I would go to a
Yeah,
coma
yeah, yeah.
again. So I said, Allah cannot put me in this intense pain. This is not possible.
Yeah.
So I had doubts, what's happening? Is there really a God?
Okay.
Like, how can he put someone in this pain,
Yeah.
which is unbearable?
Yeah.
And I was scrolling through my Facebook, and instantly I saw a quote saying that if you are going through a hardship, if it takes you away from your God, it's a punishment, and if it's, take you towards your God, it's a test.
Yeah.
So now the ball was in my court.
Yeah.
So do we really need to be punished? Nobody wants to be
Yeah.
punished. So I was like, okay, I don't want to be punished. Let's just repent and let's just say that
Get
it's a
closer
test.
to Allah.
Exactly. And this is where I started being very spiritual. My right hand was working because my left hand it's still numb actually, because when I was in coma, they tried to use this artery to put the drips and things.
Alright.
So it's numbed. So with my right hand, I started writing translation of Surah Rahman, Surah Yasin, Surah Baqarah in French and Urdu to understand what the real meaning is. Because I never took time. We never take time to understand what really is
Exactly.
God telling us. And then I realized that God promised us that ask me anything and I will give it
Yeah.
to you. So this is when I realized that I need to ask him whatever is positive in my
Wow.
life. So all the nurses, the doctors, they used to come and they say, we never see you in pain, you're always smiling. And I was like, I'm tricking my brain.
Yeah.
This is how
And it actually helps.
It helps.
Yeah.
But I told my family I do not want anyone to come and visit me because when they saw me, they were sad.
Yeah.
And I couldn't feel, I could feel the vibes, and my aura was so developed that it was hurting it.
All right.
So this is how actually I healed myself.
Wow.
After 9 months, I decided myself to get out of the hospital.
Yep.
So I just got up of my bed, I went to the toilet, I changed my clothes, and I just
By
waited-
yourself, obviously.
By myself.
Yeah. Wow.
I
After
remo-
9 months of
Exactly.
in
I
hospital.
unplugged my drip, I unplugged my nasojejunal feed, everything.
Yourself?
Myself.
Wow.
Because obviously after 9 months, you're already trained looking
Yeah.
at what nurses are doing. So I just went to the toilet, changed my clothes, and just sat there waiting for the doctor. So the doctor came in to check at 7 p.m. and he was screaming to the nurse, "What is Miss Raja doing here?
Yeah.
Where were you guys?" I'm like, "I'm not staying here." He said, "You cannot go because you will die without the feed."
feed, yeah.
I said, "Listen, I'm not going to die. I didn't die on the ventilator.
Yeah.
So I am going home. I'm over 18. You cannot stop me."
Yeah.
So I was dedicated.
And that was quite a decision, you know?
It was because there were 7 doctors, their students, nurses, like the whole staff. They were shocked. They never saw something like that.
Yeah.
I said, "I'm not staying. I have to go home," because I had previous history of depression,
Yep.
as it says there, which
the
led to
video.
my ulcer
Yep.
and then perforation. So I started having depression in the hospital.
Yeah.
Obviously, in hospital bed, you're not doing anything. And I was just looking at one window, and there was just one mountain of my city, Rouen, which is in Normandy in France.
Yeah.
And my brother gave me a book, which was, the title in French was 100 Places to Visit Before You Die.
Wow.
So my aim was to visit the world before I die.
Wow.
Again.
And that's wonderful. And I think that It's quite an inspirational story, and I'm actually getting goosebumps as well. And I think that for people who actually have this stronger feeling of knowing that, you know, whatever they're saying is right, and then eventually when it turns out to be right, I think it gives you another boost in your personality and that confidence which you're going to get, which is perfect. So now we're going to stop you over here. You know, you're back home now.
Yes.
And now it has come down to you visiting 100 countries or 100 places before dying, obviously.
Before dying.
Inshallah, we hope that, you know, everybody gets a chance. Even me, you know, I wanted to go to Europe this year around. In fact, every year I feel like going to Europe. This time around, I couldn't go because of COVID-19. But
Exactly.
the previous times, I couldn't go because I didn't have money. But we're going for a short break. Don't go anywhere, because when you guys will come back, we actually have been joined by a youth activist, ladies and gentlemen, who's the recipient of the Diana Award as well. We even had a younger lady earlier on the show as well, who was one of the recipients too as well. But this lady, ladies and gentlemen, happens to belong from a very rural area. And then not just that, you know, she have actually made sure that she's going to get the Diana Award. She went to UMT to study, and now she's doing some wonderful things. Let's be in conversation with her, but after a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Good morning.
Magla Hills, the heaven of Islam.
Mosque or the Royal Mosque in Lahore commissioned.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. For everybody who just got tuned into PTP World, you watching World this morning alongside the one and only Shazad Khan. Ladies and gentlemen, earlier we were in conversation with Manon Raja, who actually happens to be the first ever solo travel vlogger from Kashmir. But not just that, she's got an inspirational story. She had near-death experiences. She had 14 surgeries. She had depression, ADHD, but she made sure that she's going to defeat it all and will be an example for everybody. Imagine that she's got a stomach which is just the size of her pinky, not my pinky, all right? And she can only have like 4 or 5 tablespoons of food. The rest, she needs glucose and something other than that as well. We've been in conversation with her. She's told us quite a lot. She's still in the studio with us. But right now, we are actually going to head out to this amazing lady who's actually the recipient of the Diana Award. Ladies and gentlemen, she's none other than Miss Nabila Abbas, who's a youth activist herself. Hello, Nabila. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Hello, walaikum salam. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. There's no need for you to actually hold the mic so close to your mouth. It's perfectly all right. You're audible. I hope you're doing wonderfully well.
Yeah, I'm great. Thank you so much. And I hope you're well. Hello to Pakistan. Assalamu alaikum, everyone who is watching right now.
Thank you very much for such a wonderful, if you can actually be my co-host as well. You're so wonderful at speaking and saying salam. But let's just keep it aside.
So
Congratulations.
Yes.
Congratulations on receiving the Diana Award. Let us know a little bit about Diana Award and who actually, why did you actually get the Diana Award in the first place?
Okay, first of all, thank you so much for the lovely wishes. And I have received across the borders a lot of respect and honor. Thank you so much. Basically, Diana Award is one of the world prestigious award which is given to the extraordinary youth for their social and humanitarian work for at least 1 year. And one of the surprises that you actually do not apply for this award. Basically, any organization nominates you for this, and you get a surprise via email that you are the Diana Award recipient. And same thing has happened with me.
Wow. So, but what did you do? This is something which we want to ask. What did you do? Okay, there was an organization who contacted you for the Diana Award, but what were you doing? Were you involved in community building? Were you involved in providing services to the people from the downtrodden segments, education? What were you doing?
Okay, basically the story starts with my own personal story, and that is I belong to a very small village in Pakistan that is called Choti Zareen, and the area which do not have basic facilities of health systems, education, and even clean water to drink. So from raising among illiteracy, I had a dream to get higher education. And I attained my basic education from one of the non-profit schools which my father had opened in 1989. If that school wasn't there, I was not able to even get my basic education and consequently couldn't have been able to get my higher education. So I always had a dream that I want to study, I want to take educational status in my life, and I really want to fly beyond the sky. And this is what it started with my own personal story, that I stood for my basic rights, and not for my basic rights, but I advocated the education as a right as well as a dream for all the youth living in Pakistan, especially in rural areas and underprivileged. So this is how it has started actually.
Yeah, this is wonderful to hear as well. But for at the same time, it might be very challenging for you too as well. But not just that you got education for yourself. You actually went to one of the most prestigious institute in the whole world as well. How did you end up in UMT then?
Yeah, my journey at UMT is both emotional and filled with hardship, because I could remember there was a day when at the end of my college life, I wrote an electronic letter to the admin of UMT that I am a talented girl, I believe strongly, but I do not have basic facilities, even though I have borrowed the internet right now, and I'm waiting for your reply because I really want to study at UMT. And I believe UMT is one of the prestigious institute in Pakistan that they take talent into their pool, and not they take talent, but they give them Fulbright scholarship. And the same thing has happened with me. They recognize my talent. I am really thankful to the late Mr. Hassan Sohaib Murad, the president of UMT, ex-president of UMT, who has acknowledged my efforts, and he just took me from that village to the big city of Lahore, and he provided me with opportunity to study at UMT. And I haven't just studied at UMT, I have opened one of the biggest forum, aviation literary forum, to let the both rural and urban girls and boys to have a platform so that we can break the social cohesion among urban and rural areas. So yes,
Wow.
UMT is a great place, and I really enjoyed my whole journey at UMT. Actually, it started
Wow,
from UMT.
that's wonderful, and I think that for somebody to have such a drive for education and for self-development is something which really needs to be appreciated, and that you have created a platform for people who really cannot go or afford to go to these institutions. You're making sure that you're going to be that bridge in between those students and those highly esteemed institutions or educational institutions. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. And this is where the International Congress of Youth Voices in 2019 selected me, being the first Pakistani to represent Pakistan among 130 delegates around the globe at USA. So I have that honor too, and I'm proud Pakistani. I must say that this is all
Alhamdulillah,
for
everybody
Pakistan,
is.
not
You
for
know,
myself.
even I am a proud Pakistani. Even Manon over here is a proud Pakistani, even though that she's got a house in France. But yes, but not just that. Now, what I'm going to ask you is, how was it for you to be amongst those 130 delegates in the United States of America? What were you doing, and what did you had to say? What kind of stories did you share with them?
Yeah, exactly. It was one of the most amazing experiences in my life because for the very first time I traveled outside boundary of the Pakistan. And it is not just an international congress, like it was not 130 delegates, rather it was 130 global issues at which we have discussed and we brought up some creative solutions. And I was an advocate for educational reforms at rural areas as well as for the very first time being Pakistani, I declare the emergency of rural developments around the globe, not just in Pakistan, but around the globe, because I believe 50%, half of the sky is beholden by women, which means 50% population of the world is comprising by women, and among these, merely 20% seen working into social political works, but 30%, the 20% are still living in rural areas and they do not have opportunities to work into social and or economical or political development. So this is one of the dismal point I have ever realized in my life personally too. So I declared the emergency of rural developments at International Congress. And I am proud that I have generated international interaction with foreign delegates as well. And I'm working with their causes as well, like Zero R and the girl Elizabeth from Denmark. And we are together working for human rights as well.
Wow, that's just wonderful, and I think I'm actually thinking or reconsidering about my career as well, and I think that pretty much we really need to do something as nice as you or Mano has done, you know, because you guys are making sure that everybody gets their fundamental rights in the first place. That you're actually fighting for the education for people within the rural areas, which I think is the best thing. Just a small question before we actually end up our conversation as well and go back to Mano. And what I need to ask from you is. Uh, do you think that in near future you will actually or you would like to join the politics over in Pakistan and make sure that you change the landscape of education and not just education, I think at the same time bridging facilities for the rural areas from urban areas?
Yes, a lot of people usually ask me that when you are going to politics. I don't know why people say this, but I believe I really wanted to define the definition of democracy, and that is when each civilians are enjoying their basic rights of education, health systems, and even clean water to drink. Then there is a democracy. If it is not happening at your town, and it is not democracy at all. And I'm experiencing the same thing. So yes, if I get an opportunity to go into politics, definitely I'm going to be a revolutionary one because I believe in giving basic rights to the people living under privilege. And unfortunately, we miss this and we have a great gap in that area. So yes, my dream is seeing every Pakistani, both girls and boys, especially from rural areas living under privilege, that they should be getting their at least basic education so that they can come out of the Vadera system and they should have some capabilities to represent themselves at higher education level as well. The point is when we are going to give them the basic education at their primary level or at their earliest childhood, then they are able to stand for themselves. So yes,
Wow, Nabila.
inshallah, very soon I'm going to open up my own non-profit organization through which I would be making sure that every Pakistani, both girls and boys, are getting education. Right now, I'm working with various international organizations, though, and I have the full support.
Wow, Nabila, we're definitely proud of you and thank you very much for taking our time and being in conversation with us. I think that the whole world actually needs to know your story as well. And please keep up with your spirits as well. And once you are a politician, all our prayers are with you. If you step into politics, make sure that the kind of politics you are involved in is above every material benefit, and it is for the people as well. And I think that this is my message for all the politicians who are out there, and if they are listening, please make sure that your politics is for the people. You know, they say that by the people and everything, but I think it's for the people, and it should be above all the materialistic approach people have these days as well. Thank you very much, Bete. Stay blessed, and we wish you best of luck, and make sure that each and every Pakistani gets the right of education and has school. And they probably, you know, I think that it is something which everybody needs to work together, and everybody needs to move in this direction as well. But thank you very much for being with us, and thank you very much for raising the importance of education. Thank you very much, Nabila. Look after yourself.
Thank you so much, Prithviraj.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Nabila, who's actually the recipient of Diana Award as well. Not just that, she's actually wonderfully committed towards making sure that she's going to bridge the gap in between the rural and urban areas, and she's going to get the access to education for rural children from rural areas so that they can even study and have the same rights as she enjoys as well, because her journey itself was actually a difficult one, and she's making sure that she's going to make the life of other children within those places where there are no schools easier, and that they get education as well. Wow, what a wonderful day today. I think that's fabulous. But not just that, let's just come back to Manu Raja over here very quickly, because we only left the last 5 minutes, and we left at where you went back home. Your brother gave you a book, and it said 100 places to visit before you die. How many have you visited so far?
I have been to 28 countries.
Wow.
And my family was, and they still are, my biggest support. Wow. I remember I still had my nasodigital pipe, and Fast and Furious was playing in the cinema. So they told me, let me take you to the cinema. I said, I cannot walk. I cannot go with my drips. They said, okay, just wear this big jacket, put a muffler, a scarf, and we will carry you. And they carried me to the cinema, and I watched the movie, and then I came home, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to travel. Let's go to Malaysia.
Wow.
And my brother was with me, and I was on a wheelchair, and then I'm like, okay, it's fine. I can do it now.
Wow.
And then I went to Sri Lanka, Brunei, like I had a Far East tour. It was after 7 months of getting out of the hospital, still on yogurts and Cerelac and broths. I hiked Adam's Peak, where Hazrat Adam's first footstep was, and it was at 2 a.m. alone with my torch.
You were on the wheelchair, then how did you hike?
I just stopped using it. I just started taking steps. I have bruises everywhere. I still fall because of dizziness and everything. Obviously, lack of sodium and glucose, but it's just part of life. And I started working out. I run every day 8 to 10 kilometers because I need to keep my muscles maintained for my bone structure. I don't have any fat left, so I need to take care of my muscles. And I became a personal trainer and a Muay Thai boxer. So this is when I started hiking and everything. So I hiked to Adam's Peak, went there, prayed 2 nafal, and just came back. So it was from 2 a.m. till 9 a.m. And that's
wonderful. That is. So very quickly, you know, before we wrap up the show as well, there's one thing which I want to share with viewers, and that is that, ladies and gentlemen, it's you. You have to think about it. You have to get over it, and it's finally you who's actually going to achieve it as well. Exactly. And I know that how difficult it might get, because there are things which might get to your head and whatnot. But imagine that here we have a lady sitting over here in the studio whom we are actually referring to as Wonder Woman, and it's because of the fact that her will made sure that nothing will actually defeat her at life. And she's at 28 places so far.
Yes.
How many are left?
Inshallah.
62, I guess?
Yes, 62. But I would love to finish all of the countries, 197.
And that will be great. So one thing before leaving out, before wrapping the show, the best part about Pakistan, or being a Pakistani, or being from Kashmir?
I am proud. Well, my courage comes from being a Pakistani and Kashmiri, I would say.
Wow.
Because my faith is the first primary thing that we have. We are not afraid of dying. And whenever I think, okay, what can be the worst situation? Dying? I've been through that. And why get afraid of dying? Because being Muslim, we have to die. So I'm not afraid of anything just because of my faith. And being a Kashmiri, It's a little different because we grow up in this situation that obviously whatever is happening in Kashmir, we are used to all of acceptance, you know, accepting everything, whatever is happening. So I have accepted every situation, either it's bad or good, anything health-wise or whatever is happening, even in COVID. I'm not worried about anything because everything is temporary.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much for sharing this with our viewers as well, and thank you very much for taking out time. Thank you very much for traveling from Oman to Pakistan.
Thanks to you.
And then being over here. Thank you very much. But ladies and gentlemen, towards the end, there's only one message which I've derived from the entire conversation. Maybe with Nabila, who's the recipient of the Diana Award, or maybe Manon Raja, who's actually made sure that she got a second chance at life, and she's not giving life the second chance again. So ladies and gentlemen, nobody can defeat you till the time you accept your own defeat. This is the nutshell, and I think that for all of those people who are still struggling, who are still hanging in there, I think this is one thing which I've learned in my life, and that is just hang in there. You know, I know that it's not that easy, easier than said than done. But then at the same time, I think that this is something which everybody needs to look forward to. These inspirational stories we have over here all around us, I think we need to learn about them more, and we need to make sure that we derive that inspiration, which is actually going to make sure that we are motivated at life and that we keep at it as well. So ladies and gentlemen, please write to us on our Facebook fan page, which is with the name of World This Morning. On your television screens, on Daily Motion as Well This Morning, on Twitter it's World This Morning without G, on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen, you have to search for PTV World and then World This Morning. The fabulous repeat is going to be at 11 p.m. tonight. Till the next time, ladies and gentlemen, be your own hero. 1, 2, 3, good morning.
Sarangi is a bowed, short-necked string instrument from subcontinent, which is used in Pakistani classical music.